Okay. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. I don't know how much you guys have been participating in various things, but I've heard a lot of conversations. I've seen a lot of people connecting, and I just couldn't be happier. My smile is permanently stuck like this because of just my heart is so full of seeing the community come together in the way that we do. One of the things that I'm really excited about is we were talking about yesterday, Bud the encouragement tree out there. If you haven't filled one out, please do. Takes a second. And there's a guest book that we're asking people to just write a note in there, kind of like if you visited somebody's house. Any thoughts that you want to put in there, feel free. This morning I went through it and I found one that it's short, but it hits my heart. It says, "I can't believe I'm surrounded by people who get it. For the first time, I'm not different." One of my favorite Oley stories is from last year in the kids club. At one of the sessions, there were multiple kids in there, 15 or so, and there was one kid who didn't have any tubes or wires or anything connected, and he felt very sad to be the only one left out. Yes! Most of our kids are the only ones in any rooms that ever feel that way. They feel ashamed of their tubes sometimes until they've been taught and empowered. I talked to a mom out here just a little while ago who said, drove from Washington State just so that my 9-year-old could meet somebody else because he doesn't want anybody to know. And I said, up there, everybody knows, and it's okay. And her heart is full today too. So thank you for being here. Today, this session is it's a little hodgepodge of everything. We're here to celebrate today. That's what this session is about, recognizing people. Yesterday, we acknowledged that we had over 301 registered first-time attendees. Today, I would like to acknowledge, yes. Today, I would like to honor some of our longer-term members by a show of hands. If you've been connected with Oley for more than 5 years, raise your hand. If it's been more than 10. How about 20? And do I have 30? I know I do. And if anybody is here near or at or right around 40, if you are able, would you please stand? We want to acknowledge you. Thank you for being pioneers and paving the way. Kids like my own son are able to grow and thrive. People like you were able to benefit because of people like you who stood up in a time where there weren't very many and they couldn't collect. And the next generation is going to stand there too, and we will always honor where we came from. Some of our new timers don't even know where our name came from, so I'll really quickly tell that. There was a patient named Clarence Oley Olenberg and Dr. Lynn Howard, and together they formed Oley, February of 1983. And that is why we continue to honor patients, families, and clinicians, caregivers. They all work together, and that's what makes Oley. Today we're going to celebrate pieces of both of that. A couple of housekeeping things. So we have a silent auction that hasn't shown up yet. We're going to do, instead of a silent auction like we used to do, we're going to do it on our phones. It's going to go live on the app at 12:30, where you'll be able to start bidding for these small treasures that we have. For example, we have some native art that came. A local artisan came by yesterday, sponsored by, this is a sponsor session, so I say, by Takeda, and they were able to, they offered the ability for the kids to be able to make their own kind of art, and this is the artist there. They learned how to do some weave patterns. We have other things there. We have a 50-50 raffle. If you've seen the thumbprint tree at the beginning, if you haven't put your thumbprint on there, please do so. We're trying to collect the DNA of everybody here so that we can, that's not right. Just a little piece of everybody that's here. We have one for everybody, and we also have one just for the kids. We have a couple other things that we're going to auction off too. We're not trying to make tons of money, though that would be fine. What we want to do is just give you something meaningful to take back. Somebody will win those things. So please participate in that silent auction. It'll go live right after the session ends. I want to do a couple other little housekeeping things. We have a tagline. If you social media is hashtag Oley 2025, please tag us in all the things. And again, if you don't follow us, I don't know what to tell you. So you'll be seeing all over, there's ways to volunteer. So many times people want to give back to the community. How do we give back to the community? There's ways to volunteer. There are things on our website. There's QR codes that show up sometimes that you can see. Like, how can I volunteer? There are lots of ways. And if one of the things on there doesn't fit your fancy, write info@oley.org, and I guarantee we'll find a place for you to help. This fall, we're going to be having a strategic planning meeting with our board, which I'm going to introduce here in just one second. And we want to listen. We believe in listening to every single person in the community. If you're an industry, you're a clinician, you're here with an association, if you're a patient, a caregiver, this is your first, this is your 40th, we want to hear from you. Where does Oley go from here? And so as we start to listen to you guys in the next few years, how we shape the next decade, please talk to us. We want to hear from you. Almost done with my wrap up here. There's a couple exciting things that I wanted to share really quickly with you too, some growth things. For years, we used to have a program, HPN Research Prize Awards, and we needed to not do that for a little while so that we could rethink it and make it better and for everybody involved. And we thought, why just that? Because we have Ian too. We've got Intral, we've got all sorts of other things. So we have reimagined the program. I'm happy to announce today for the first time that those have been relaunched. And so there'll be opportunities to do research grants or research awards for people who have already done some research in various areas. And we want to partner with you that the deliverables are patient-friendly, like an infographic or a webinar or a speech or an article or something like that can be really used by the community. The last piece that I want to announce is that we also, back in 1983, Oley was built on that we would do research, that we would help collect research. I don't mean walking into hospitals and doing that kind of research, but patient-led research initiatives. And I am proud to announce today, for the very first time, that we now have grants that we will be able to offer to researchers to do patient-led research initiatives. I'm so proud of that because we all see the gaps. Let's go measure them. Let's go show what we all know to be true, but now we can prove it. So please help us with that. There will be ways to donate and there will be ways to partner and things like that, but how do we make sure, maybe there will be a day there is no short bowel syndrome. Maybe there's a day there will be no gastroparesis. Maybe there will be a day we don't need nutrition support. I don't know. I think that's a long way away. But could we make it better? Could we make today better? How do we do those things? So I'm excited. So much so, I personally, and this is me, not Beth the Oley CEO, I'm going to be Beth the mom for a second. I'm a little concerned about our nutrition support world. There's a couple of little things that are a little scary to me. I'm not trying to be Chicken Little, but right now, the course needs to change in a few directions. And we've identified with a lot of different people, reimbursement being a real big piece of that. So tomorrow morning, if you are a part of industry or if you're a clinician, we are inviting you to please come to our first summit talking about reimbursement for enteral and parenteral nutrition. It's from 9 to 11. I know a lot of you are already leaving after exhibit hall today, but if you're here, we would love for you to come be a voice. We're working towards a coalition to try to say, we can't take this anymore. I think for so long we've learned helplessness. We get what we get and you don't pitch a fit. Not anymore. We're going to do something about it. I don't know what, but together we can. And so please join me for that. At this time, what I would love to do is just let you see and meet a little bit of our board. We're going to come up so if my board would come on up here, and we're going to take a photo of our board. And as they make their way up, I just want to acknowledge that today is June 19th. It's a special federal holiday to represent Nobody should be left behind. So we honor today. Come on up, board. Well, I just thank you so much for being up here. We've got obviously Dr. David Mercer. He is our president. And we have, they're not in any kind of order, so I'll just do that. No, which is fine. We have Lisa Epp, who is would you wave? She's our president-elect, which means on October 1st, she becomes the president. And Dr. Mercer will move to a past president position. We've got, I'll just go on this end, Siobhan Kinberg. And Lucas Borges, who you met yesterday. He spoke yesterday. And we've got Vanessa Kumpf and Shirley Wang. We have Sarah Ellis, Steve Atkinson, Roy George, and over here is John Mahalchak. Thank you. What these represent is clinicians of all sorts of types. We've got patients, caregivers up here. We're a microcosm of you guys. If somebody ever says, how do you get on a board? You talk to Beth. There are ways that we do that. We would like to have you come through as a volunteer, maybe be on some committees. We see how you work together, see where we can plug you in and things like that. But I truly appreciate the board for your leadership and your strategic vision. Over the last few years, you've probably noticed, if you've been around for a while, a few changes, and the board is responsible for the strategic direction in which we held. I'm held to hold and make sure I follow that strategic direction. So thank you to the board, and we appreciate all you do through the year. You can go. Thank you so much. And as they go down, I'm going to have my staff start to gather. We just want to really quickly acknowledge them. Thank you. And when we take a picture, I'll join them in a second here too. So, this staff works their butt off. They work so hard. I can't be more proud. They are each uniquely qualified for their positions. Like if I had to do one of theirs or they had to do one of theirs, we would be all messed up. But they are uniquely qualified. They're people from the community. And we also started finding people that had very specialized skill sets that weren't originally a part of our community, but now love our community. So I'm not going to introduce each one. You can see their names up there right now. But I just want to say thank you to my staff for all you do behind the scenes when nobody notices. Our job is to make sure you guys have a great time. So I'm going to join my staff for a picture. Thank you.
Now here, 1, 2, 3.
Stay. Now I'm going to surprise them. So I'm going to do something that is new. I have decided that I'm going to name a new award. It is called the Challenge Accepted Award. It honors an exceptional volunteer who's gone above and beyond in service to the Oley Foundation community, whether through tireless dedication, compassionate support, behind-the-scenes hustle, or stepping up during critical moments. This individual exemplifies what it means to rise to the occasion, no matter what the challenge. This award, which is selected by the Oley staff, celebrates those who embody the spirit of service, reliability, and heart that strengthens the Oley family. 2025 is the inaugural presentation of this award, created in recognition for the remarkable example set by our very first honoree It is my pleasure to give the first Challenge Accepted Award to John Michalczuk. Do you want to say something? Okay. He'll talk later. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. We appreciate you more than you know. What you don't know is John is on the board, but John also volunteers with the staff, which is why I had him stay up here. He works as many hours or more than most of us a lot of times. This man has truly dedicated his entire being to the things that we do. So thank you, John, for what you do. Thanks, staff. So now we're going to give some more other awards. So please help me welcome Vince for Shay.
No, you're fine. Steph's stealing my stuff up here. Hey, everybody. Thank you for being here, Oley friends and family. We want to welcome this year's annual conference award ceremony, where each we celebrate through strength, innovation, resilience in our HPN community. Each nominee has made a lasting impact, and today we're here to honor a few truly remarkable individuals. So for our first award, this is going to be our Home Enteral Nutrition Award, sponsored by Nestle Health Science. Thank you, Nestle, for that. The criteria was you had to be on HEN consumer for 1 year or more, 18 years or older, and show courage, perseverance, and positivity living with a feeding tube. Our nominees were Mary Kate Blackburn. If I mess up your name, I'm very sorry. We did not go over that before. I just want to say that. Katie Haynes, Oliver Parker, K.D. Pickerel, Jamie Sturr, and Katie McMullen. And our winner is Katie McMullen. Come on up, Katie. Katie began her tube feeding journey at age 19, received a permanent feeding tube at age 3, and calls it her kindest decision she has made for herself. We're going to introduce Katie. Katie, if you want to say a few things.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
I have my support person with me. I'm going to set her up right there. I wrote it down because I'm nervous, and there were things that I wanted to convey, and I didn't want to forget. I am both honored and humbled to receive this award. Thank you for the beautiful opportunity. Standing here today, I want to acknowledge something that's a part of me, not a limitation, but a tool, my feeding tube. When I first got it, I'll be honest, I was scared. I thought it would define me, limit me, maybe even isolate me. But what I've learned is that this tube doesn't hold me back. It fuels me, literally and figuratively. It gives me strength to live, to chase joy, to show up for the people I love, and most importantly, to show up for myself. I want everyone listening who's on a similar path to know this. You are not broken. You are not less. Your life is still yours to live boldly, beautifully, and unapologetically. This tube is not a symbol of weakness. It's a sign of resilience, of adapting, of surviving and thriving in a world that doesn't always understand invisible battles. And if you're facing a similar journey, I want you to know you can still laugh until your stomach hurts. You dance with your whole soul and chase dreams that scare you. Life doesn't stop because your body works differently. Life begins when you decide to embrace yourself fully. Thank you to everyone who's walked this journey with me. And to anyone, bye Annie. And to anyone here who's still struggling, you are not alone. Your life is worthy. You are worthy. And you've got this. Thank you.
Let's give it up for Katie. I think we can all agree that Oley is stuff like when your phone falls, that's just part of it, right? Like that just is part of it. I feel like other conferences are a little serious, but this is the one where we can be a community and just be our full selves. So we're gonna continue on with our awards. This next one is gonna be our Home Parental Nutrition Award, sponsored by NutriShare, so thank you NutriShare for that. The criteria was you had to be on HPN consumer for 1 year or more, 18 years or old, and demonstrate courage, perseverance, and a positive attitude living with IV nutrition. And our nominees are Tiffany Dodd, Madelyn Morris, Shaylee Raye Hunter, Kristen Killian, Reid, I'm gonna butcher this, Reid, that's how I'm gonna say that, Aiden Hockey, and Alexa Quintero. And our winner is Shaylee Raye Hunter. Shaylee lives with chronic intestinal obstruction and short bowel syndrome, dependent on TPN since age 2, and has lived with an ostomy for over a decade, and even earned a bachelor and master's degree in communication, emphasis in civic advocacy, works as the lead children's advocate as the Utah Crisis Center, and also Miss Utah Petite.
Thank you. I truly didn't expect to find myself here accepting an award for something that for so long felt like survival than success. But being recognized by the Oley Foundation and by a community that truly understands this journey is something I'll carry with me forever. There are a few special people I want to thank tonight. I want to thank my family for their constant love, patience, support. You've stood by me through the hardest moments and the biggest milestones, and I'm so grateful I never had to walk this path alone. Thank you for being my strength when I didn't have any left, and for believing in me even when I doubted myself. Also to Marion Kinney, my incredible nutritionist for the past 6 years, thank you for never giving up on me, for listening, adjusting, and fighting beside me for the quality of life that I want. To Paul, my pharmacist, 24 years is a long time to have someone in your corner, so thank you for being part of my story for literally decades. To Emily Hoops, thank you for introducing me to the Oley Foundation. That connection has completely changed my world. And to Beth, thank you for taking a chance on me with my internship, for trusting me to represent this community, and for giving me space to grow as an advocate. And despite my circumstances, but because of them, I was given an internship. And I wanted to also thank Jemima with Ironwood. She was not just the part of this journey, but she introduced me to someone who became my best friend. And I spent my entire life yearning for that kind of friendship and connection, for someone who truly understood what it felt like to live in a body that constantly challenges you. Someone I didn't have to explain everything to because they just knew it. I can't even count the number of nights I prayed for that kind of friendship. I wished on every shooting star or first star, and it felt like over and over again I was wishing for the same thing, and 3 years ago that wish finally came true. Finding this community, this kind of bond, is something I'll never take for granted. If anything, the only thing I can say now is I just wish I found it sooner. There was a time in my childhood when I hid everything I was going through, the tubes, the scars, the surgeries, all of it. I spent years trying to blend in, to not be the sick girl, to avoid the stares and all the questions. And I never thought, not in a million years, that I'd be standing on a stage accepting an award for something I once felt so much shame around. But here I am, and I've learned, especially through the Oley Foundation, is that being seen, it matters. Telling your story matters. And even if your life doesn't go the way you imagined it, it can still mean something. It can still make a difference. And that longing I carried for so long to be seen, to belong, to not feel so alone is exactly why I do the work I do now. As Mrs. Utah Petite 2025, I made it my mission to show the world what it really looks like to live with invisible disabilities. My platform, Invisible Disabilities, Visible Awareness, isn't just a title. It's a promise to speak up for those still hiding, to represent people like me who never saw themselves in advocacy, the media, or even in a community until recently. So this past year, I dedicated over 600 hours of community service through advocacy, education, and supporting others facing medical challenges. Whether it's speaking out for those with invisible disabilities, working directly with survivors, or creating accessible content through organizations I deeply care about, every hour is a reminder of why I continue to show up. And service isn't just something I do, it's who I am. Through my work supporting survivors, advocating for patients, and creating spaces, I've been able to work with amazing organizations, especially Girls with Guts. I've learned that sometimes the most powerful thing is to offer someone is, I get it. You're not alone. So while this award means so much to me, it's not the end of anything. It's just a reminder to keep going, to keep sharing, to keep making space for others who are still finding the courage to be visible. So thank you again to the Oley Foundation for helping me find that courage, and thank you all for being part of the community that I spent so long hoping for.
Thank you, Shaylee, for that amazing speech. So next, we are going to get into our Rising Star Award. This is sponsored by Abbott Nutrition. The criteria was HPEN consumer for 1 year or more, under 18 years old, and inspires others through a positive attitude adapting to therapy. Our nominees were Aiden Hockey, Maddie Morris, and Sarah Hernandez. And our winner is Maddie Morris. Maddie was diagnosed with SIPO at 2 months old, has undergone 5 surgeries and been on TPN since infancy, attends private school in Fayetteville, Arkansas with an amazing 4.0 GPA, aspires to pursue film, fashion, and photography and entrepreneurship, competed in horseback riding, as we seen yesterday. Her and her horse were on stage at the award show, gymnastics and volleyball, and used her story to inspire others with chronic illness to aim high. Thank you, Maddie.
Okay, so I wrote mine down too because I was nervous. Thank you so much for recognizing me among the other nominees. Congratulations to you guys. I want to thank the Oley Foundation for this award, and I also want to thank Lauren Reimer, Owen McCausland, and Olivia Scally for being some of my best friends and my biggest supporters. They've been an inspiration to me and shown me that it's possible to have both a chronic illness and a fulfilling life. My goal is to inspire others as they have and be an example of strength, resilience, and self-confidence regardless of our circumstances. I've been on TPN my whole life since I was 3 days old and diagnosed with chronic intestinal pseudoobstruction. I've faced many challenges, much suffering, and some mental health struggles, and I'm sure many, if not all of you, can relate. Despite this, I've maintained a 4-point GPA throughout high school, competed in high-level horseback riding, and explored numerous other hobbies. I've also collaborated with the biomedical engineering department at the University of Arkansas to try and develop a waterproof central line cover, which is still in progress. While I was preparing this speech, I remembered a quote from a movie called Dolphin Tale that I used to really like when I was younger. There's a man that returns from war with a disability, and he says, "I can't do swimming anymore." And Morgan Freeman replies, "Lucky for you, there's only a million other things to choose from." And I feel like this is an important message to keep in mind. The reality is that there will be things we cannot do and things we struggle with, but they should not limit us or define us in any way. Every year, I look forward to being here, Oley has led me to find my most valued friendships, and it's a community that makes me feel not only accepted, but wanted. So, thank you again for this award. It means so much to me.
Thank you. 4.0 GPA, couldn't imagine. I won't tell you what mine was. Next, we're going to go to our Caregiver Extraordinaire Award. And our nominees are Maggie English, Grace Block, Kelly R., Patrick Sharkey, and Wendy Melland. And our winner is Maggie English. She is a... Look at that picture. Maggie is a caregiver to McKenna who received a G-tube as an infant and has advocated for McKenna's feeding privacy by inventing the magnetic iron patch for modesty. Oh, here you go. Thank you.
Hi. I just want to say to the parents out there, you all know what an honor this is, and I share it with you. We're all in the same boat every day. Sorry. I did what I did because I knew I had a little girl and I didn't want her to be exposed when she was eating. So I continued to figure out ways to protect her and all of our kids by allowing them privacy and modesty while in public. It's their choice to disclose their condition. It isn't for someone to gawk at. And things like this are so important in normalizing our kids with everyone else. So I just want to say thank you very much.
Leave that there, and then we're going to take pictures at the end. I think we can all agree with what Maggie said up here. So I just want to thank everybody, to our winners, our nominees, caregivers, and the entire Oley family. Thank you for showing the world what strength, advocacy, and community looks like. As you can tell from these amazing winners, not only are they living life to the fullest while managing chronic illness, but they all share a deep passion for helping others navigate this journey that we're all on. You inspire us every day. Let's keep celebrating with each other and lifting each other up, one tube, one line, one victory at a time. Congratulations again. Beth is going to return to the stage, so thank you, Beth. And we can't forget Dr. Mercer, too.
So I have you to speak.
You want me to speak? Okay. All right. I don't have anything written down, but thank God she writes everything down for me, which is awesome. But before I do the actual presentation, so the person we don't always have a chance to thank is actually Beth. So Oley was in a challenging place a few years ago, and she alluded to this in her opening remarks when we first opened up the conference. COVID was a challenging time, and Oley was going through a real transition-y time from sort of where it had been to what it maybe could be. And I've been super, super struck in this conference that Oley's totally grown up now. Like, this is the big leagues all of a sudden. When you're starting to have a conference that has 600 and 700 people, and when you have this, and when you stand up and you have that staff, that isn't stuff that we had a number of years ago. And there was a lot of things that we couldn't do as a consequence. And so she's kind of borne the brunt of some tough years of building up a fantastic team and doing all of this. And I think let's all just take a quick moment, if you would, and just join me. Okay, so now I'm going to present the Joan Bishop Lifetime Achievement Award. And Joan was really who stewarded us through the first era of Oley, and that's really where Beth has taken over and brought us to where we are now. So this award is given by the Oley Foundation to a person who has dedicated their time, talent, and passion to advancing the field of home nutrition support therapy across the decades. This is the only award decided by the board of directors and given to a person who has gone above and beyond in their years of selfless dedication to working towards advancing the mission of the Oley Foundation. The award is named in honor of Joan Bishop, the Oley Foundation Executive Director Emeritus, for her about 40 years of service to Oley. And I think anyone who's been around Oley for any length of time has known the impact that Joan's had on the organization and on everyone's life. This year, our award recipient is Dr. Reid Nishikawa. Reid's been caring for patients requiring long-term parenteral nutrition for about 39 years with a focus on improving quality of life as well as decreasing the incidence and risk of complications in the long-term PN patient population. Vascular access interests have included implementation of interventions to reduce infectious and mechanical complications in his long-term PN patients. His research interests have paralleled this clinical focus, and he's received a ton of awards, but I'll give you some of the high ones. Recipient of the Aspen Distinguished Nutrition Support Pharmacist Award, recipient of the Aspen Stanley Serlick Award for promoting patient safety, recipient of the Oley Foundation Mankutz Award for patient advocacy, and he's a member of the Aspen Parenteral Nutrition Safety Committee, which publishes the guidelines for clinicians managing PN patients. Fundamentally, if you've been around home PN forever, Reid's always been around, so right from when I was brand spanking new to where I am now, he's just really one of the sort of the towering figures in the field. So if you would you all please join me in honoring the recipient of the 2025 Joan Bishop Lifetime Achievement Award, Dr. Reid Nishikawa.
Well, it's a distinct honor, a humbling honor to receive this award after all these years of trying to help people and finding answers to the problems that you guys are experiencing. And not all the answers came, without a lot of work and a lot of thought. And so in order to find the pathway to the answers, that there were no answers, we had to ask questions. We had to first understand what the complications were to figure out what the solutions might be. And And then we had to figure out, which questions to ask to find the answers. And many times, the answers are in the literature, in research that other people have done. However, there were many that didn't have answers. And so therefore, we had to ask the questions thinking outside the box. And so we utilized research to find the answers to the solutions, the problems that were in existence. And so the strategies were to utilize current research data versus, that some of that information was clinical and some of it was investigational. And so we had to ask the questions as to why the results of the complications, why the complications could be minimized. And then for those that we couldn't identify quick answers, we had to do the research ourselves. And much of that research was based on clinical data. And then we applied to the questions to research design to projects to answer the questions. and then to apply the answers derived from their research to improve clinical outcomes. So a lot of this research is dedicated to those of you on long-term PN, and we had to think outside the box to solve some of the problems. And so for infections, we actually went outside the box and went to an infectious disease conference, and in 2002, we began to use ethanol lock because we realized that the infections that were caused in patients who have long-term indwelling catheters, those infections, the success in treatment of infections was not as we expected. So we can get suppression, but we couldn't get cure. And so we had to figure out like what it was that helped us get to better outcomes. And so ethanol lock was one of those ideas that we thought outside the box. And who thought of using ethanol lock in catheters without a good reason? And then we looked at fibrinolytic agents like cath-flow and figured out that in adding fibrinolytic therapy plus antibiotic therapy, that we were able to achieve slightly better results. And then there's the use of chelating agents, which it's sort of been a long time in coming, but we've been able to get closer to using chelating agents to dissolve what we found to be biofilm inside the catheters. And I was fortunate enough to participate in some basic research with a nurse, PhD, and helping her with her PhD thesis work, Marcia Ryder, who many of you know. And we identified biofilm as a big problem when there was bacteria in catheters. And so we have to understand the pathogenesis of the infections to understand better how to treat them more effectively. And then we even used antibiotic pharmacodynamics for you to determine which antibiotics had favorable pharmacodynamics, which gave us better cure rates. And so we looked at those that had concentration-dependent killing instead of time-dependent killing, like most beta-lactams. And then we looked at some metabolic complications, and we looked at liver dysfunction, and we had to figure out, like, there wasn't enough data in the early days to solve liver dysfunction, and therefore the transplantation services were developed. And so then early on, we discovered that the type of lipid that we were giving was being metabolized to phytosterols, and therefore those phytosterols were causing alterations in bile flow, and the result was refractory cholestasis. So we basically went to first reduction in the dose frequency, but we didn't see the decreases in the bilirubins for a long time. But then we figured out that there was more data that was available in research, and we found that the reason why the bilirubin didn't drop right away was because the half-life of the phytosterols was 5 days. And so therefore, it took about 5 half-lives, or about 25 days, to see a reduction in the bilirubin. And so when we studied the effect of withdrawal of the lipid, we noticed that the curves where the bilirubin would fall were parallel to those that were giving omegavin or the fish oil. And so we had determined that if you stop the lipids and you let the cause of the cholestasis get better, then that's where we saw the results of lipid withdrawal. And this was before the four lipid ILE was introduced. And then we focused on not overfeeding our consumers and treating bacterial overgrowth, because if we knew that if we treated bacterial overgrowth aggressively, then the incidence of liver dysfunction was going to be less. And also for the consumers, that by treating infections better and making our outcomes better, then we could see a reduction in liver dysfunction. And then metabolically, there were certain micronutrients that over the years that were identified to be contaminants in the solutions of PN. And so there were contaminants in those. This was data that was done in 1980, so the late 70s and early 80s. And so this led to us doing some research in identifying the manganese and chromium, which were contaminants in the solutions that were used to make PN. And then so ultimately, this resulted in the reformulation of the trace element mixture that we give. So I could have shown some of the research data, but that would take much more longer time than we have today. And so, as I mentioned, it was a true humbling honor to receive this award. And I've known Joan for so many years, and I thank the board for the nomination. And anyway, I think that what I've determined is that there's more work to be done.
Would you come up? Thank you so much, Dr. Nishikawa. I look at the history and I think how far we've come. We talk about how far we have to go, but we also how far we've come. This is the part of the program where we just really start to thank our partners. And I just want to say this from the bottom of my heart. There is nothing that we could do within Oley without funding. Like, it takes money to put on a conference. Food costs money, buildings cost money, it just does, that's reality. And we have amazing, generous partners who partner with us all year round. We have lots of exhibitors and sponsors as well who help with the conference. But partners are a special piece because they give money to help us all through the year. They're the ones that are with us 365.4 days a year. They're the ones that are with us from beginning to end. And so we really, truly could not do what we do without them. And so we just want to do very quickly an acknowledgement of every single one of our partners. So I'm hoping you will join us. We're going to go by levels. So we have different levels. The first level is the Emerging Innovator level, of which we have Butterfly Pig, who's unfortunately not able to be here. They had some sort of health excuse, whatever. Then there's Free Arm Tube Feeding Assistant. Oh, no. Apparently, Oley I guess Oley came too. And we have LumaClean. Just a really quick thing about this particular level is I invented this level because we believe in innovation. somebody that was a mom or a dad or somebody that just says, there's got to be a better way to do this thing, and they invented a something or other, and that's who these people are. And so I'm just so proud of them. So thank you for being our emerging innovators. And our next level, you can be getting yourselves ready for bronze. You know who you are. We're going to go in alphabetical order. So is El Cresta Therapeutics. Next, we have Emerita Specialty Infusion. The other one. Avanos Medical. B. Braun Medical. Baxter International, Inc. Canebrook. Intera Medical. Moog. There's a lot of them. They like us, so you've got to squish. All right. We have Nestle Health Science. Next, we have NutriShare. Premier Infusion and Healthcare Services. Real Food Blends. Rockfield Medical Devices. And Solio Health. Just don't fall off the back. That would be a bad look. All right, thank you. Thank you to our bronze partners. We could not do this without you. Next, we're gonna, as they go away, we're gonna pull up silver, and we're again gonna do this in alphabetical order. Thank you so much. Visit these people in the exhibit hall. We're gonna open that up in a few minutes here. There's a little, the opening night was a Voyage on the High Seas. I thought about bringing out Little Mermaid. Look at this stuff, isn't it neat? When you think my collection's complete, you can visit them in the exhibit hall. But I thought that wasn't professional enough, so I didn't do that. Anyway, so next we have silver. Avivo RX Nutrition. Quorum, a CVS health company. Fresenius Kabi USA. Ironwood Pharmaceuticals. And Kate Farms. It is not on my list. So it is not on my paper, but sorry. And Zealand Pharma. It's not on this list. My mistake. My printer didn't print right. I apologize. Thank you. Now we can take their pictures. Thank you. It's not. It fell off. Two more levels to go, guys. We have gold, and we're going to do these one at a time. So would you please join me in welcoming Cardinal Health. Thank you so much. Next, we have Option Care Health. Nice job. Thank you. We have Protara Therapeutics. And our last category is titanium, and that is Takeda. Thank you. I now invite Erin from Takeda to give a small speech about this. Here we go.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you. A huge congratulations to all the winners today. I just enjoyed your speeches. You were always so articulate and shared, I think, a lot of what everyone's feeling this week. And a huge thank you to the Oley board and the staff and all the volunteers. You all make this possible. I know Beth is so grateful for, we're happy and we're proud sponsors, but money only goes so far. Yes, you need money, but you really need people and you need your work, and we're so grateful for what you do for this community. As I mentioned, Takeda's a long-term sponsor with Oley. I'm blessed to be part of this community. I never thought my job would bring me to something like this, but my eyes and my heart have been really opened. This is my third Oley, and it just gets bigger and better and greater. So it was really fun to see and hear that 300 of you maybe are your first time here. So I hope you have the same experience. And the rest of you, you may remember from a little bit of what I'm going to say, but allow me to introduce Takeda a bit to those of you who are new. So Takeda is a 244-year-old pharmaceutical company from Japan, which hopefully makes the Japanese Kit Kats in the hallway make a little more sense. Hope you've been able to enjoy those and taste some of the flavors. It's kind of difficult to imagine what pharmaceuticals might have looked like 2.5 centuries ago. But what I can tell you hasn't changed from that small family startup in Japan is our culture and our commitment to patients and their families and their caregivers. And I can really say that that's true because we have a code of our culture that we call PTRB. And it's something that we use every day. If you're in pharmaceuticals or healthcare or even military, you know we love our acronyms. So let me explain it for you. PTRB means patient, trust, reputation, business. But the secret of that, the importance of that, is the order in which we say it. So I do it, my colleagues who are standing up here, we talk about it every day. Any decision we need to make, we come back to PTRB. What's best for the patient first? What's best for their caregivers? What's best for their families? What do we need to do to make sure that we're continuing to serve these communities, continue to serve all you, that we're hearing the unmet needs, and we're supporting and championing where we really are needed? And then trust in the company, our reputation, and finally business all round out the way we make those decisions. So I hope it's been wonderful to meet those of you who it's your first year, see a few familiar faces. Thank you for coming to visit our GATEX booth. I hope you had fun kind of playing with and learning about Gutsy and your welcome kits. And if you haven't had a chance, please come visit us in the expo after you grab some lunch. So thank you all for being here, and have a happy rest of your conference.
Thank you to Kata, to all our sponsors, and to all of our winners as well. And thank you for everyone else for being here today. We would like to take this moment to honor the ones that we have lost this year in the nutrition community.